What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Play the Fights on College Football show. College football is done. The national championship wrapped up last night as Indiana takes home the title and finishes as the first ever 16-win college football team in the history of the sport. Gentlemen, what a season. I'm joined alongside my week-to-week co-hosts Reese, JP, and Jake. We are here to recap the 2025 season, talk a little bit of the national championship, and maybe throw in some portal talk at the end as the window is now closed. However, there's some movement floating around with the two teams that just competed in the national title last night, so maybe we'll get a chance to mention those. Gents, how we doing? Let's remind everybody to like, subscribe. Let us know you're listening. Drop a comment in there if you're watching the show, wherever you are. Let us know you're in there so we can talk to you as college football. What a season it was, gentlemen. A season of growth for the show. Another awesome season on the field for the product. Jake, how we doing tonight?
Good, great. Never been better. Actually, I have been better because there was college football on last night. And now we don't have college football for the next 9 months. So I could be better, but I can't complain.
Schaefer had a great point, though. He's like, how could this be better if I was 10 beers deep enjoying this game with my friends, but tomorrow's Tuesday instead. So, like, let's figure out that schedule, college football.
A little bit of, like, I'll save it for that. Sorry. We'll save that we'll talk more about the game. I don't want to get on a big tangent before we get to the rest of the boys. Can I ask?
That was very, like, hangover coded. Like, I have something to say.
I was going to get there. We'll save it. We got a lot of time to do it. Did the Big Ten come out with scheduled dates? Because I just saw, of course, Ohio State has to make it about them, right? They just tweeted out Ohio State Athletics 10 hours ago. The rematch in Bloomington has been set, October 17th, 2026.
Yeah, you know who your homes and aways are, but you don't have dates.
I just gave you a date. That's why I'm asking.
I don't think they've gotten dates completely. They may have just done that one because it's a big one. But, I mean, if you're Ohio State, you just got to – it doesn't matter if you're playing Delaware. You're big noon kickoff, 8 weeks out of 9, right? So that's just something you can get used to.
This one's in Bloomington, which doesn't change anything.
They're saying that's the new Columbus after this year, apparently.
Fellas, I have a little sister who doesn't like to follow the rules that she has laid out for her via family, and she decided to schedule an October wedding.
Did you lay out those ground rules? Like, did you sternly lay those out? That's on the man of the house.
And she also should have learned. My older sister did an October wedding, and my father got screamed at for escaping to the bar across the street.
Yeah, you've got to lay out the foundation. You and Mike are the men of the house.
And what if the reigning national champs come to Lincoln on the day of the wedding? I mean, I might as well catch the next one if we're talking weddings.
What's that spread?
Knowing her, odds are high. There'll be another one.
See, you have pull though, Parks, because I would say, like, if it's just a friend of yours, you really can't say too much. But, like, this is a sibling. You could sit them down, say, hey, let's really think about the rest of your family members here. You kind of go through that whole,
I might have to go like a movie route about it, where my next 4 or 5 months is really doing the most I can to make sure the wedding doesn't happen. Just burying my future brother-in-law.
It's going to happen someday, but just not that day.
Find whatever super important date matters to her, and then plan something that she can't miss around that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if reigning national champs coming in town, that's your season ticket cost in one. I may commit arson on whatever building they choose. It's absolutely ridiculous that I have to fight that battle. But JP, awfully quiet. Also had to be reminded the show was tonight about an hour ago. How we doing?
The Big Ten schedule officially drops next Tuesday at 4:30 Central.
I'm excited for that.
They are one of the – I think that and maybe the ACC are the two that I don't have dates yet.
Big 12. Big 12's always last.
I just completely blanked on what day of the week it was. So – and
Tuesday.
Some people also had a day off yesterday, so I could see where
it was not
some people that. I kind of half did whatever, but some people got confused on today. Today is Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday, the day after the college football national championship. Let's talk about that game, gents. As Indiana takes home the title 27-21, they take down the U. Michael Irvin, no belt to ass, none of that stuff on the screen. The U is broken. Indiana, they got it done. They got beaten a lot of statistical categories across the game. But when it came down to it, they made plays towards the end. Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, with a massive fourth down run, offensive MVP. and they just made enough plays and made a massive play in special teams. Gentlemen, what'd you take away from the game? Your thoughts, your breakdown, anything come out and shock you, or did this kind of go the way you thought it would, JP?
Maybe not the way I thought it would. I think Indiana giving up a couple of really good drives to Miami consecutively kind of stunned me a little bit. The way that Indiana just kind of took punch and came back with something was very reminiscent of how the entire year went for them, right? Like they had a lot of spots, they kind of got hit in the face and came back with something a little bit bigger. And so I think if you look at what that was, like that was Indiana the entire year. And Indiana winning that shouldn't be a surprise. The way in which Miami handled things is more of a testament to this is like that was that good of a defense. That was that good of a front. It wasn't just a 1-2 game thing that everybody kind of had seen on display on a national level, right? At A&M, the Ohio State situation. And then Ole Miss is kind of the outlier that scored all the points, but they won the game anyway. So I think it went pretty similar to how we thought. I didn't think that – I thought they were going to have a couple more big ones, Indiana, through the year. But not a lot of time for Mendoza. They switched the game plan pretty quick, in and out of his hands. And that's how it went. And then you make one big special teams play, and it kind of flips the game on its head pretty quick.
Jake?
As a former washed-up high school receiver, nothing bothers me more.
All state.
In rural Iowa. Nothing bothers me more than like the refs allowing just hand grabbing all night. And I think that's why JP, we didn't see as many explosive plays because I mean, they're just letting, was it Frederic and Scott? Now, Scott just played in the second half, but they're just like holding all night. And I thought it was egregious. Now, to the refs' credit, it was both ways. They kind of let them hold a little bit, but Miami was more of the aggressor. And they were like, what's Indiana really good at? How can we get to Elijah Surratt? How can we get in his head? Like just holding on every single pass play. And shout out to Charlie Becker. Might be one of my new favorite players now. Just a gritty kid, just throwing a couple of back shoulder throws.
What a story.
Didn't even play until like the last 7 or 8 games of the year. And he just made 2 of the biggest catches of his entire life. He's not like this fast route runner. He's not super quick with
No,
his
he's
feet.
a Tom Allen recruit. Like this was a part of the 2-win Indiana teams.
Yeah. So just for him to make plays when they mattered the most, when dudes are just hand grabbing the entire time, and I think he thought it was kind of BS, is why you didn't see a bunch of explosive plays out of Indiana, but that played into Miami's credit. Also, JP, you attested to like responding after every Miami punch that they threw. It was like Miami wanted to be the bigger bully. They clearly made that apparent in trying to just do some little dirty cheap shots, the hand grabs, trying to establish the run, all this stuff. And that's just what makes Indiana the best team in college football this year is every time they tried something to get in their heads, they responded with just a ballsy quarterback draw to win the game, back shoulder catches, big 8-yard runs when they needed them the most, when they weren't getting them all night. Just was really, really awesome to see Indiana kind of get through that and win it because it would have been a big what if story. Like obviously everybody's pulling for the underdog, quote unquote, underdog story that is Indiana in this turnaround. And just to see them get through it and win the football game, responding to the adversity. Unfortunately, didn't cover the number for a lot of people, which I'm sure pissed some people off, but that was awesome to see them respond and just win the way they did last night.
They did, and they've done that all season long. I think one thing that sticks out is there's a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes out of Indiana. I mean, it's the 10th fewest penalized team in college football, and they mentioned that on the broadcast last night. Then it came down to the last part of the game after the 2-minute warning, and you're one of the best offensive linemen in college football gets called for a false start, which he hadn't done all year. And that really gave Miami that opportunity to get the ball back because you'd be hard pressed to convince me otherwise that they would have gotten that 1 yard versus the 6 they had to go through the next couple. So they extended the game at that moment. But then again, it all comes down to making one more play, just like Cignetti kept echoing throughout the entire week. They did so. They made the big special teams play. They dominated the time of possession, 36-23, and they just did enough because the Miami's offense was actually decently efficient. Like they did hit their stride at a few different drives. That's why they outgained them, but they possessed the ball less. And then it comes down to that old Carson Beck throw to finish the game, which felt like a Sorsby force. And Jake, you'll understand that better than most, but I just didn't know if he needed to throw that ball right then and there.
He can't hit it. I mean, this goes back to like what Reese was saying when we covered the first round. He's like, "Do you really trust Carson Beck to play perfect for 4 straight rounds?" And it literally came at the very last second, out of a timeout. Miami's got a perfect opportunity to set up a 10-yard play. I mean, what was it, like 45, 50 seconds left? You're already past the 40 or 35. Like you have plenty of time to just get 5 or 10 yards again. And he tries to go for the
spike it.
Yeah, he tries to go for the kill shot, and just like he has all year. The elbow injury is it's kind of sad to see because I think it's going to limit Beck's pro potential.
I mean, you don't bounce back well when you're 26. It's 18-year-olds bounce back a little bit quicker.
Hey, you can tell he's not been able to throw those 20-yard throws as well as he used to at Georgia, and it was a little bit forced because I really don't know what he was looking at. I mean, the safety kind of baited him over the top a little bit. Credit to Indiana and making that play, but it's still underthrown.
The corner just didn't have anybody in the flat to really push him to come back down. And so he's like, okay, that corner is going to come back and sit, and I can fit it in between before the safety rolls over. Well, safety rolled over on time, and it's probably going to be, tough catch even if that's on time in the right spot. But that corner had nobody pushing in the flat, so it just dropped and dropped and dropped.
And that was off a timeout, by the way. That's what pissed me off. The whole situation. That's what we dialed up as a shot.
Well, and even then too, easy for me to say, right? Sitting on my couch, but what's the throw in that situation? The throw is high and outside, and he threw it pretty much low, short, and inside. Play to live another down. You're playing to win the national championship, and he just put it in the worst spot possible.
Yeah, everybody's arm comes back differently off of those kind of surgeries, right? We've seen people who come back and they're a little bit stronger. We've seen people who kind of stay the same, and we've seen people who just aren't the same human, like arm strength wise, coming back from those kinds of injuries. It's just how you kind of go through it, and it's just pure luck a little bit too, right? You can do everything right rehabilitation wise, but sometimes it just doesn't come back to life. And no, Brock Purdy's not an example. His arm did not get stronger because of that.
Dude, he can throw 90 yards now.
Hercules now, what are you talking about?
What is he, like rookie of the year?
Yeah, he might be. No, I just think you look at this and you look back at the fact that Miami only held Indiana's offense to 20 points. If you look at it, I mean, it takes a specials team touchdown to help them win this football game. And it's also, I mean, I don't know what they're going to start calling that play, the Mendoza highlight reel or whatever it was, just the balls be 4th and 5. Hey, we're going to do a quarterback draw. And the fact he got it and then he kept going. I think it just shows a lot about that team this year too is, Miami was physical from the get. JP texted right away in the group chat, too much speed on the edge. What are they doing? Can they figure it out? Miami was the enforcer, Ruben Bain, and they were punching them. And to their credit too, Miami really wasn't getting much for the run game going. Then all of a sudden, Mark Fletcher just popped one. Mark Fletcher's probably the MVP of that game for Miami if they end up winning that football game. But it's just Carson Beck too late, too long. That's an issue. It's going to be going there for you. But I mentioned before, it's just 16-0 is the first time. That's pretty nuts. And that the fact it happened at Indiana, it didn't happen at Georgia, didn't happen at Tennessee or somebody that's it happened in Bloomington, Indiana. So I think when we look back in 10 years, however long Kurt said he's still coaching, we'll be like what is Indiana? Not right now, but at 2026, they were national champions and they were 16-0.
It was an insane story, and I think somebody will make at least a documentary, if not a movie, about what's happened here. I mean, this is the losingest all-time program in college football history. But going back quickly, what you mentioned about the speed off the edge for Miami, you could see the effect it took on early, and what was effective for that group the first 3 rounds of the college football playoff that other teams couldn't answer for. 3 sacks, 6 tackles for loss from Miami last night. And Indiana ran the ball well in spots, but also couldn't run it effectively. There's not a lot of teams out there that were so good up front that Indiana couldn't get that 3rd and 6 or 2nd and 5 to close the game out. Miami's that good up front, and I don't think they're going anywhere. Obviously, the money flows around that program like it does. They're young. They've got some talent. Just got to replace the quarterback, and we'll see where they go from there. Any closing comments on the 2026 national title?
Yeah, I got. Well, I don't know. I sorry, JP. Do you have something to say?
I was just gonna say they got their quarterback.
Who? Indiana?
No, Miami.
Oh, Miami. Yeah, we'll get to that probably. I just thought just the significance. I kind of wanted to touch on that, the significance of Indiana winning for the sport. like going forward. I
Right.
said going into this one, I was just going to enjoy the game. Like whoever won, I was probably going to be fine with, and it was going to be a lot of fun. And it clearly was. It was an awesome game. But then I kind of found myself halfway through that, just like all on Indiana. And I just wanted to see them pull it out and to just get this massive win and the significance it has for the sport going forward. Like Reese mentioned it. Like I kind of felt like I kind of found myself like, had I been with you guys, like 10 beers deep watching that game, I felt like I really would have actually been kind of emotional just watching it, because I think sometimes it's hard to get caught up in the moment, but the repercussions of them winning lays out a foundation for a lot of teams in the sport that I think is going to be massive going forward. Now, there's going to be a lot of players who think they can be the next Indiana and might not get there, but the hope that Indiana has now built for a lot of college football fans and a lot of college football teams going forward is going to just continue this growth on the popularity of the sport. I mean, I just sat there thinking, like, at the end of it, it's surreal. Guys, their composite ranking on 247 is what, 74th, the 74th best roster in the sport. They have 6 4-stars. I don't think they have a single 5-star on the team. They beat
55 3-stars or something like that.
Yep. And they debunked the blue chip ratio, which I'm a big proponent of. I think it's really important. It stood tall up until last night for the test of time for national champions. And now it's like, it just lays out the foundation. Like I texted you guys this, like I fully accept that Iowa State will never sniff a national championship, but them winning, Indiana winning the faster that they won last night, it's like, man, it can be done at a lot of different places now. Like we always loved college football. We always loved Saturdays. Like clearly the national championship doesn't define success of 95% of programs in college football. But I mean, for just two fan bases right now, I think like with Iowa and Nebraska, there's no doubt in my mind, there's like, should be a path for you guys to think like, if the right pieces and the money and the resources get put together, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to think that my team can't get it done 1 year. I hope I live the next, we're in our mid-20s. I hope I live another 50 to 60 years of my life. And I think Indiana has proven that your teams will get a shot. Like they'll get an opportunity. Now can they make the most of it? We'll wait and see, but it just takes the right coach and the right guys to get through it. And you don't always need just billions upon billions of dollars of NIL money and all these 5-stars to get it done. It was just like a surreal moment last night. I'm like, I couldn't imagine being an Indiana fan right now. And I was just so happy for them. Like as someone who's watched losing Power 5 football for decades upon decades, and for them to never sniff 10 wins in a season. And now in 2 years, you hire this new coach and you're a national champion. It's something you can't like put into words. It was an unbelievable thing that I was just super happy for people that I've never met in my life last night. Cause I can't put into my feelings of like how it would just feel like a fever dream. Like I would be numb. I'd have no words to explain like what has happened there in the last 2 years.
I always said I'd be bankrupt if my team won the national title just because of the gear I'd have to buy. But I think simply putting it, another reason it felt so great is, like you said, Jake, I guess to put it in simpler terms, is in a world where it feels like everything's changing for the negative for a college football purist, this story was what the sport made us purists from. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
this is what made us fall in love with the sport, is teams like this could do it. And then it just felt like we were going to get further and further away from it as dollars got involved, as the portal got involved, as the G5 was getting stripped. And then here comes Kirk Cignetti doing it, a program that had absolutely no business being a part of the national championship game ever before the last couple of years.
And could I put out my Indiana effect? Because like this did a lot of good for the sport, but I think it's going to get kind of ugly and chaotic now for at least the next decade, because Indiana now winning goes to a lot of big spending teams and they're like, holy shit, like how can we not beat this team? Like we got to keep spending more and more. And I think I texted you guys last night, the Indiana effect will live on for a decade or two, I think. And it's basically, I think in my definition terms, it's teams that I expect to over splurge. And I said this unnecessarily over the next decade or two to try to get the best roster in college football. And I threw, I don't know, what is this, 12 teams on top of my head? And I think I could really keep going on this list.
Eastern Conference.
everybody in the SEC, you could basically throw into that. I would say I agree, JP, but even teams like I put a Nebraska in there, Oregon, USC, Texas, Penn State, Texas Tech, BYU, A&M, Miami, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Like I expect all of those teams to just ramp it up and get that more impatient year after year. You're going to see coaches get fired continually every 2, every 3, every 4 years. And you're going to see them outbid for, teams like Iowa State. If we have a next great quarterback, they're going to continue to throw millions upon millions of dollars at these guys to try and improve their roster year after year. And it's going to get a little crazy. So there's good. And I could also see the bad. I don't even know if it's the bad thing of
for the donors' pockets. It is.
Sure. It is crazy because you put in this, the shoes of like a Cody Campbell at Texas Tech, and you're spending millions upon millions of dollars. And I know you've got billions in your pocket, but like if you keep doing this for the next decade and Texas Tech gets as close as just maybe the semifinal, you're going to look back and be like, is this really worth my money? Like, I know I have a ton, but it's still, he's still spending, we all know it, like $20 to $50 million a year. That's nothing. That's no chump change. Like it's going to run out eventually. It's just like, do these donors see it as an investment? Do they just like, will that national championship be worth it to them to spend all this money on all these programs?
Keeps him out of a different tax bracket. He's going to keep donating and he's fine.
Yeah.
There you go. Reese.
That's a write-off. There's the money, man.
There you go.
I also think if you look at it too, Jake, it's also a good thing for like G5 coaches. Like there wasn't a lot of people out there that were like, we got to go get Cignetti, go get Kirk Cignetti in this next coaching cycle. There's going to be a lot of those teams and some of the teams you just mentioned that are going to be searching for a Kirk Cignetti, where it may not be he's the G5 best team or the FCS national champion, but it's a guy that just wins and has won everywhere he's been. And it may not be a guy that jumps off the page like a Summerall, like the guys that have been recently hired. We may see another one. I think there's going to be some Hail Marys thrown, and there's going to be a lot more people joining the Fired Football's Coaches Association with moves like this, because there's only so many times you can go back to a donor, no matter how many different tax brackets they're in, without a result, without making a ton of changes and people being just in and out, revolving doors around these jobs.
And how do you convince them to keep donating money? Hey, we'll fire the coach.
Yep.
Hey, we'll get a brand new roster. Like, please keep donating. Like this will work eventually. I promise.
But also with that, do you think some AEDs are going to get shorter leashes too if you can't get the right guy? Like with those too, do you think
Rick George?
Do you think?
Rick George. Rick George said, "I'm out." Yeah. He made his net. That's a dumpster fire, but that's a perfect example. Yeah, I would say so. JP, any comment up there?
It's just, I don't know. To me,
does it change your mindset on Iowa, JP? Although I think this would be the post-Kirk era. I think you got to get through that for the next 3 years, and then. But you
think he's going to get to 30?
I mean, what's the reasoning behind having to get through that though? Because this is a guy who builds a roster similar to the way Kirk does, and like it started smaller school guys, overlooked guys, and went through that. Yes, it got better faster, but that's a team that had multiple shots to be in the same spot. Indiana won all one-score games that they got into. I didn't. I don't think it changes my outlook on it. And maybe it just hasn't really like set into like what the scale of this was. Or maybe it's just the playing videos of Indiana fans having to tell the whole world why they're in Miami that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
You don't like the Indiana fans? Is that what you're saying?
Have you seen? There's like 4 or 5 Indiana.
But
videos
you get,
like
but you got to give them like
plane. Yeah, I know, I understand. They're
I don't.
But like they like stand on the plane. Okay,
JP hates fun.
No,
I'm gonna say now that they're new to it, but like your team is 16-0, like you deserve a right to have some fun, you know.
If I'm on that Southwest plane and that jackass starts cheering, I'm just
it's cheesy.
JP is saying, who's yours? JP's saying, hey, act like you've been there before, and Indiana fans are like, F off.
What I say.
We've never been here before.
I'm saying it's cheesy as shit. If I'm on a plane with 200 other people, and a guy stands up and goes, I don't care who you are, but I'm going to the national championship, I would be like, shut up, I don't give a shit, kind of thing.
If somebody gets up and says, go Hawks, you're going to be like, sit down and shut up, dude.
We need to get a partnership with both.
He gave
because I'm going to give him a
speech.
shout out.
Are we talking about the same videos? This guy gave a full speech
Yeah, I know exactly what
Credit
you're
to
talking
that
about.
guy.
Yeah,
I saw
it's
it.
not just like
Yeah.
standing up. He's not walking through the airport yelling "Go Hawks" or "Go Hoosiers." He's giving a whole speech to a bunch of people who don't give a shit.
Yeah, fire him up.
Not a chance that asshole's voice would have made it through my boys.
Lori that's
Bose
traveling
quiet
from
comfort
freaking
headphones.
Miami
I'll
to
put it out that way.
California for business doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, she's like, what the hell?
I don't know.
Maybe he does now.
It was a little cheesy. I'm not like ruining the parade or anything like that because it's impossible to do that. I just don't think it's set in to me on like what the scale of this is. But I think, does it change the expectations in the form of those expectations for a majority of the people around the country? Yes. Does it change the reality in which somebody's going to be able to repeat this or do something similar? No, because I don't think you're going to see something similar. It is not feasible to look
You don't
at
think so,
another
for the next 50 years of our life, you don't think it'll ever be done
Okay.
again?
I'm
I'm just
somebody
like,
pull up the list of losingest programs in the FBS and let's go through it. How perfect this had to be, and they got to do it again. The
I get what you're
feasibility of
saying.
that, I don't see it, and so that's why I feel like it's a one-off to completely base your idea on that. Using rational thoughts to explain things that are rational people and sports fans doesn't make sense. I understand that, but to say like you aren't this isn't your situation, this is not something you can just copy paste replicate is. I can see how that's exactly how this is.
you know who's a team who I could see this happen. And I don't know if it will, but
UMass
could be in a simpler. Not UMass. I would say Kansas football. I think if they got the right spot, the right people, because they have not the Mark Cuban money, but Kansas has more money than people underestimate. Kansas football in particular. I mean, their NIL value is still up there. Now, I don't know if they handle it well, but that's a team where like I think could make a similar run at something given the right circumstance.
Here you go. I got it
This
up
is-
for you, JP. Here's your three.
Northwestern Iowa State winning national titles.
Kansas
No,
is-
no, no. There's even
Kansas
one
is in
below
that-
Indiana now. Wake Forest is below Indiana now. That would be your like exact same story.
I mean, I just to call it like you're able to just replicate this and there's now a blueprint is a little far fetched. I still like we're so close to it that like, oh, that's not that hard. In 15 years, 20 years, we're gonna be like, how the actual shit does that make any sense? I just don't see it being that feasible. There's a changed perception of schools, conferences, the way things are handled. I would agree there too, right? You probably look at the Big Ten a little different with Indiana winning that. I mean, it took to the Big Ten title till they got any real thought of being actually good to win a national title when they beat Ohio State. You look at, kind of what happened in other spots, like Ohio State losing to Miami the way they did, and then Miami State in this one probably bumps Miami a ton, and the perception of how good that team was, even if the ACC stunk. Like, there's more perception things that change, but I still think we're too close to this to really understand the scale in which this is or has.
I find it very hard to believe that this would ever happen again the way it did in 2 years.
If you gave me odds,
I'm not saying,
like,
yeah,
you
I'm
wouldn't
not
be
saying
able to
this
put
is
10 grand down to win $1. Like,
I'm not saying like this next year or so, but like 40 years ago, this was never feasible to Indiana fans. Who knows what the sport looks like in another 30 years?
yes,
That's more so what I'm saying.
It would be
Yeah,
Brittany
that's fair.
or DeMarcus Cousins one-on-one level odds, JP, to put the odds on that thing.
We also, the NIL and the portal
Go to the
stuff
bank.
is something we only have. We have such a small sample size too. Like we really don't know the long-term ramifications of this entire new era either. I will also argue that. I mean, we're only 3 years into that.
Yeah, this could be your 10, 15 years from now. You're looking at how this last 3 years shapes college football for X amount of years down the road. It could be.
I think you're still going to get like the good stories of college football that are maybe on a slower time frame. I think example A, where it is actively happening, is Vanderbilt. Like Vanderbilt's not far up on that list away from Indiana on losingest programs in the history of college football. Look at where they're at as a program. It wouldn't shell shock anyone to say if Clark Lee stays,
But he
and they
would
keep
already
doing
had
what they're
to do it.
doing. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think on that slower timeline is something we'll be able to see more. Like these programs have the chance. It's really just about trial and error of finding the right guy, and you got to hit.
Wake's in year 2 next year. I don't know what that ticket.
Jake Dicker, let's go, baby.
Yeah, but it's year 2, and if there's a pattern, we'll sniff it out next year with the Beaks.
All right, let's leave the national title there and all that talk. We will talk that all the way throughout the offseason. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video if you haven't quite yet. Let us know if you're in the comments, in the chat, listening to the show tonight. Want to make sure we get you a part of the conversation. It is time to look back on the 2025 college football season. If you're joining us for this clip on YouTube, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. This is the home for the best offseason college football content you will find. Let's do it, gents. Let's take a look back at the 2025 college football season, all it entailed. Games of the year, best players, best plays, best moments, anything that comes to you. Let's break it down because this year was absolutely full of the parity, of the transfers, all these different narratives and stories around their team. So let's start with game of the year. Guys, what stuck out? Which game? We got to go all the way back to week 0. You want to give me Hawaii and Stanford, which was an awesome game? You're more than welcome to. But there is a plethora of options with the parity through the sport this year. What game stuck out to you, JP?
Yeah, I'm gonna start. I got one, but I think I'm gonna highlight one in North Texas Army. Kind of one that went on a really good football weekend, and it didn't get the love it deserved. Right, this is kind of a crazy piece of everything. I'm trying to pull up the box score and how all this played out. 45-38, North Texas wins in overtime. They were up, 28-7 at one point, mid-second quarter. Army fights back all the way down 10 late, scores a touchdown. North Texas fumbles first play of the last drive to run the clock out. Army kicks a field goal. They go into overtime, and North Texas prevails. But it was unreal. Like, that was so much fun to watch. And that's not a lot of eyeballs hit, but the way it all kind of spiraled and happened in an instant, it's like, oh, there's, of all things, they're not going to just fumble or like drop a ball or here. They're just going to take a knee or run the football between the tackles one time. Nope. Army North Texas was some of the most fun I had watching a game.
Yeah, and I was in and out running, cooking at your bachelor party, legitimately cooking. I was on the grill, trying to run in and out and watch this on a phone because there were 2 more important games pulled up on the TVs. I remember just looking over someone's shoulder trying to see if North Texas was going to pull that one out. Hell of a game and a hell of a pull. Jake.
Yeah, this one's a little more chalky, at me, SEC Jake, but this one, I mean, just paid up to the hype, I think, going into it. And Tennessee, Georgia, 44-41. The Dogs get out of Knoxville alive. If you guys remember right, I thought the under was an absolute slam dunk, and that was the dumbest bet. Dumbest bet I had all year. Just kind of sums up our show to a T, but we like to have fun around here. Just that game came out of the fireworks right away. Just Joey Aguilar, Gunnar Stockton, just huge big play after big play. It was back and forth scoring. Georgia fumbles in the fourth quarter, and you think this might be over. The defense bows up. They only give up a field goal to Tennessee. They go down, score a touchdown, and they go for 2 to get it to tie it at 38. And then Tennessee puts a nice drive together. Really good kicker. I'd even have to go back and pull this up. I have the box score here. It was from what I remember, it was a chip shot for the kid to make
I think it was like
40. Okay, it was 43 yards.
It was not chip, but it was one you expect a guy to hit.
Yeah.
Yep. And he missed it, and Georgia goes into overtime and wins that football game. So that was my game of the year. There was a lot of good games that week that I could highlight. I think that was the same weekend as
as what? Nope, because nobody's gone, right? We got 2 more guys that haven't said anything.
Thank you, JP.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't think he was going to name mine, but one that stuck out to me, and it was way back earlier in the season, one of the first Big Ten games, all the hype around both these teams, top 10 matchup at this point. But fellas, back when the whiteout happened with Oregon and Penn State and the way that game played out, where it felt like Oregon controlled the game the entire time. Penn State comes back late, makes a few plays, forces it into overtime. Oregon gets theirs, and then a massive interception from Dylan Thieneman to close it out, and then the downward spiral that happened from there. Like, after that game, if you would have said where Penn State would have ended up playing in the Pinstripe Bowl, you would have been, what are you talking about? Where did it go wrong? Did Aller die? Did Singleton die? Like, what happened? Yeah, they did, but like, they had the running backs, the defense, and you saw it later in the year with the game that Reese might mention, but man, what a whirlwind that both programs went on after that. Reese.
Earmuffs, all you Catholics out there, but I went with A&M and Notre Dame, 41-40 to start the year, week 3 on the road. I mean,
Yep.
Notre Dame misses
Same
a
week as
PAT,
Georgia, Tennessee.
ends up keeping them out of the playoff. They score. A&M scores a touchdown with 13 seconds left. There's maybe a hold on that final play that doesn't get called. Like we saw Craver bust an 86-yard touchdown. Like CJ Carr played extremely well. It was early issues with Notre Dame with their tackling. Like didn't know what the defense was going to all be about. And I thought that was a hell of a game. Like we saw the score be what it was because like that defense was like it's legit this year. So like they're going to be able to do what they did in the SEC, finish out against Texas in the end. But again, this is just 1-2 where you missed that PAT, and then Notre Dame also like if Miami hit like a 40-some yarder to go ahead like with 2 minutes left, like if those two plays don't happen, that Notre Dame team is playing at the end of the year, and all these things are different. So,
aren't you happy you didn't say anything about that, Jake?
Did you know Reese was picking that one?
No, but I know you.
I was
There
going
was
to
two
hit it. It was the
options,
same.
right?
It was the
Yeah.
same week as Georgia, Tennessee.
don't worry, I
That
would
wasn't
have. I
loaded.
hit that.
To kind
I
of
got
spin
an
off the
honorable
game of the
mention
year.
here.
Yeah, go ahead. Before I kind of spun it off, and mine's more of a negative thing, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Arizona State, Mississippi State, just for where that really put Mississippi State in that fan base to kind of buy in and be like, okay, I know things aren't going to be like incredible
Yeah, what a play.
during this SEC season, but we're going to see this kind of bump up more and more. And also on what the reality of would come of Arizona State. Like you were like, this is our third Big 12 team that we really think is going to go, have a shot at the
Even though
playoff.
Dillingham said they were going 7-5 during the offseason, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't that far off.
he did.
That Arizona State team could have also went 10-2, 11-1. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the Big 12 though. Like we're a lot of one possession games, gotta get a ball to bounce your way in some spots. But they fought back after looking like utter crap in the first half, and Mississippi State gave them the lead, and then they had one big play, caught a guy sleeping, and you reawaken a fan base that's begging to see anything and grasp for air. So I thought that one was a really good one that underappreciated. It was kind of my theme of the games I picked.
I guess my honorable mention too was, again, at the time, what a whirlwind it felt like for where these two teams ended up, because Alabama ends up with 3 losses, but Florida State, Alabama, that early in the season, Florida State coming away with the win. You're like, all right, Norvell finally got these guys back. Like now we have another name out of the ACC. Boy, that went downhill.
Still a great
fast.
game though. Like it
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I went back and I looked.
Night.
247
G5
Sports.
Do we have a G5 honorable mention at anybody?
I mean, JP gave his from the G5, but if you have
anybody
one,
else.
give it.
I was gonna say Memphis USF, 34-31. That was a game, especially after Memphis dropped to who they lost to UAB, and I think I was big. I think USF was my player of the week. I was like, they're gonna be the college football playoff. And
Yeah, somebody had them as a
Brett
best
Lewis
bet
went out and
that
played them
week.
well.
Was that you, Reese?
I think
Was it you,
I think it was
JP? Yeah.
What?
Somebody
It
had
might have
them
been me.
as
I
the
know.
best bet.
I know. I actually took that. But
I went back and I looked. 247 Sports released a list, and I think we did too, of our most anticipated games of college football in 2025. And a couple of them would make you laugh looking back at it, like Florida and LSU obviously happened early where it would have mattered. Look where those two teams ended up without
that game
a
was
coach.
gross. That game
The
was
first
gross.
game that pops up, and if you remember how gross this one was, how about TCU North Carolina on that Sunday night? How ugly that one got very fast. So, I mean, there were a couple that we anticipated that just did not pan out.
How about LSU
It was on
Clemson
TCU that
week
night.
1?
Yep, LSU Clemson is number 10 on that list.
Just-
Indiana, Illinois did not go the way people expected it with those two programs. So there were some letdown games as much as there were great games. But that is
Illinois
game of the year
Duke?
in college football. Let us know in the comments who you think the game of the year was, who are missing, a game that stuck out to you. And make sure you hit the like button on this video. Let's move to the next one. Let's go to Power 4 Coach of the Year. We did split this because we do think there's going to be 2 categories. There's a lot of great G5 coaches. There's obviously coaches in the Power 4 that deserve this award. So we're going to split these up for offenses and defensive player of the year, as well as coaches of the year. Let's start with the Power 4 Coach of the Year. Who do you got on your list, Reese?
I mean, can there be anybody else than that man that was 16-0?
No. Yeah,
It's-
I was
it
going
has
to
to
say,
be-
does anybody else have
I
an
wrote down a second. I wrote down a
Does
second.
I mean,
anybody
there's
have
I have
second?
other names if we want to try to be different than everybody else, but like it's
Yeah.
Kurt Signetti if we're being true football purists,
Yeah, I would like
That's
to hear
where I
people's
was.
second option because I couldn't come up with another option. So I'd like to hear
You
other
can't.
people's.
You physically cannot without lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is where I
But do
landed
you
on it.
have a second option,
Yes.
JP? Let's just.
Yes,
let's
but
hear it.
I have a second
Reese
option.
go first here.
I Big 12, Joey McGuire.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
It's called getting money.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Jacob
just because you
skewed
got
a
the money
little
doesn't mean you can't win. You can
12
lose.
and 0. Still got 12 and 0. So actually went 13 and 0. But then
You
they
did not go
Oregon
to 12-0. You did not go 12-0.
No, they
Yeah,
lost.
they went 11-1 to Arizona State.
Yeah, baby.
I think he's if
Come on,
Vin-
let's hear it, Drake. A lot of eyes tonight.
No
Well, I
shit,
just-
right? Just say it.
I don't. Yeah, he's got to win a playoff game next year. He might be gone. At least I would think he's gone. I don't think he's that great.
I thought you were giving more an opinion on him from you, not just like the generality of
I don't think
how
he was
warm his
tested
seat
this year.
is.
I just don't think I don't think he was tested one time this year. There wasn't one time where I was like, "Wow, Joey McGuire really outcoached that game to a win." There was not one time when I thought that this year. They were just
What about that Utah? Was that Utah game kind of bloody for a little bit, and then also they just broke the doors open? That was on the road.
Yeah, there were
early
some
on.
moments.
Yeah.
I mean, that team got challenged, but the way that roster was panned out to be, it felt like they shouldn't have, even when they did.
Also,
I mean, that loss was.
we
bad
realized
there,
that
honestly.
defense was worth every penny and exactly as advertised, like on a national scale, not just on a Big 12 scale.
Right.
I think that goes a long ways.
Yeah, and you saw the postseason awards reflect that. It's not a bad poll. I mean, Joey McGuire, you still got to win the game. I think everybody kind of just expected it because of the roster price. There's still coaching involved to make those players do what they did, mesh together. So I would accept that 100%. Any other Power 4 coaches floating around outside of Kirk Cignetti? Obviously, unanimous opinion. Go ahead, JP.
And stay in the same conference.
Okay.
Willie Fritz.
Mm.
I
That's
think
a good
that
one.
this is
I think
one.
Kalani Sitake did a better job than Joey McGuire, and I think Willie Fritz did. That's a great pick.
I had
So
Satake on my list, too.
I know Willie Fritz kind of got to a spot where Houston, they're 9-3, but they kind of squeaked by in some games that they probably should have won handily, right? A weird loss at West Virginia. You only beat Oregon State by 3 in overtime.
They down
in
like
late
21 at
September.
that point.
Yeah, like a TCU game late, barely get by UCF. Like it wasn't a tough Big 12 schedule for them. But I think people knew whether this team went 6-6 or 9-3 that you were moving in the right direction at Houston, and there were a lot of pieces already working. The recruiting was getting a little bit better. They were retaining some pieces. And even with some of the big losses they had in the portal after his first year, they had some really big pieces return and come in through recruiting that really helped them out. They have an identity. They found a quarterback that kind of fit in the way they want to do things. And that's the way he's going to build a program, right? It's inside out. It's from the core up. And it was a ton of fun to watch Houston. And they end the year ranked, and they're going to go into 2026 with a lot of momentum and a fan base that's really hungry across multiple sports too. So,
And the number one quarterback in the 2026 class. So, yeah, he's going in the right, good direction.
All right, unanimous pick from the group on Kirk Cignetti. Obviously, a couple other good names floating around in the Power 4 with coaches and their performance this year. Sharon Moore did not get the bid. Let's move on to the G5. Let's talk G5 Coach of the Year. Who is the best coach, in your opinion, to come out of the G5? They probably have a different job by now. There's a couple of awesome candidates. 2 G5 team makes the playoffs. Gentlemen, who stuck out to you and the job they did coaching this year, Jake?
Parks, I'll just let you take mine. I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, it's Eric Morris,
Yeah.
right?
Also,
Yeah, I don't think there's
two
even
others
a.
down. I didn't
Expected, but he did a great job.
I have other names, yes, as well. But
I don't want to steal yours, JP, so I'd let you go.
I didn't write his down. Like I think that's a really good one. I had 2 that I couldn't really go between. I think if we're talking about like Cignetti getting, our P4, how about Jerry Mack, Kennesaw, and just
Yep, good
importing
one.
an entire new roster and going to win a conference title? That was really cool to see, right? That's a
Sorry,
program who
AKC.
fired a coach, and probably a little bit of us too were like, I don't really understand that firing. Right? You had a ton of success at the FCS level. It's your first move, ton of turnover on the roster. It doesn't go well. They move on, bring in Jerry Mack, and immediately they win a conference
And they
title.
retained
I
him
think
this
that-
year after he got
Yeah.
other jobs offered to him.
Absolutely. And so I think that's one
No
really
more
to
Odom.
highlight. Reese,
Yep.
did you have the same one they did?
I have
yeah,
one.
I had Eric, and then I had, playoff team.
I had one
coaches.
other one one of them that played in the playoff.
Jason Eck.
Yeah.
The
Jason
should have
Eck's a great one.
probably
It's a
won
great one.
would have won a Mountain West title had their point system just not been absolutely stupid.
Okay, so there's 3 I'll put on the graphic. Reese, are you guys sharing the other one? Are you going Summerall here?
I was gonna go
I-
Chesney over Summerall.
Yeah,
is where
Chesney's
I was
is-
gonna
yeah,
go. I was gonna go
Chesney is-
Chesney over Summerall.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. There's our
What,
four.
what do you
It's-
got other than if you weren't going North Texas here? Is that the one
There
you
was
just kinda
no
saw
other
as
answer.
like, okay, I just
This
wanted
team
to,
was
I didn't know if you
middle
were
of
doing
that
the
comp.
There's one.
That's fair. I didn't know if you were doing the homer thing or you were like buying all
No,
the
I
way
mean
in.
it. I
just wanna
seriously
make sure.
think.
Okay.
I mean that you got to look at what he did with this quarterback. Like Drew
Yeah.
Mestmaker was not a name.
Yeah, that's fair.
And now he was a
true.
5-star transfer.
He
So
he did a better coaching job than John Summerall, and I love John Summerall, but Morris did a
John
much
Summerall
better
was in
coaching
a
job this year.
Weird spot. Yeah.
John Summerall,
Absolutely.
similar to Dillingham, was kind of checked out on that team at some points throughout the year. It was like this team's just not very good.
Yeah,
And then they make the college football playoff. So high expectations for that guy. But those are 4 great coaches. We'll make a graphic for all these. So make sure you follow us along on X at Play the Fight Pod. Also the same for TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you hit the follow and subscribe button on this channel as well. Let's go to the G5 Offensive Player of the Year. Let's start in the G5 this time and then go to the Power 4. Guys, who stuck out to you? Who's the G5 Offensive Player of the Year? Could be a quarterback, could be a running back, could be a wide receiver. Who balled out all season long in your mind, JP?
Cam Cook. I
Yep.
think if you're going to go offensive
see
player of
where
the
that-
year, there's plenty of options, and I think that that would definitely is just as deserving. And what this rationale that I used in this situation would probably apply to him as well. But if you took Cam Cook off that Jacksonville State team, you really wonder what the run game looks like. Not that there's not some talent behind him or some guys that could fill cracks, but you're not running for 6.5 yards a carry, probably more 5.
Mhm.
4.5, which really changes things drastically for that team. So I had Cam Cook
dramatically.
dramatically.
Dramatically and drastically.
Parks, you're muted. So
Mute,
I'll say,
there,
I will say too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to the same point as JP. You take Cam Cook, which they did win their bowl game. Didn't think Troy was very good, but yeah, they're not making a conference title without Cam Cook, and that's a run-centric offense. And he was just a difference maker. And the guy who was literally dead last in Power 4 starting running backs last year in rush yards at TCU.
I feel like you could go a couple ways if you're in my position, but it sounds like a homer pick, but I truly believe it. How about a true freshman All-American and Caleb Hawkins out of North Texas? So I'm not going to take the Mestamaker. I feel like that'd be your chalk pick, but what he
that's
did in
my
the
pick.
backfield
Yep.
was unbelievable, man. Over 200 carries, over 1,400 yards, 29 total touchdowns, 25 of those being on the ground. It's a true freshman and averaged 7 yards a carry. So he balled out all season long. Definitely gets my bid. Reese, do you have a different one?
I thought you were going to take him. I'll take the guy that was handing the ball off to him all year. I'll go chalk. I don't care. But, I mean, 4,300 yards, 34 touchdowns, 68% or completion percentage, about to go to Oklahoma State and follow his head coach, like Mestmaker all the way. 45.
It just
in
lined
that
up.
offense averaged 45 points a game. Like, that's insane.
It,
I would
it
say-
just lined up to be a homer part of the show, but like you have that highly ranked of an offense in general of college football, both Power 4 and G5 combined, you're going to take majority of the G5 awards.
His coach let him down and his defense let him down, but I would say Byron Brown was spectacular this year. Wayne Knight,
Yep.
another good honorable
Wayne Knight was a
mention
good one.
for James Madison as well.
There's a few absolute bowlers within the G5. So let us know if you're a G5 fan in the comments who you think that we missed. Name that stuck out. Obviously, there's some good pass rushers too. I know that for a fact. And we may get to them when it comes to defensive G5 player of the year. Let's go to the Power 4. On the offense side of the ball, who stuck out to you in the Power 4? Do you like maybe a part of the national championship team? Maybe just part of a bowl game? Who balled all season, kind of went under the radar in your opinion? If not, let's go chalk, Jake.
Maybe it's more of the story. I don't know. I feel like he was playing like the best quarterback in college football down the stretch, in my personal opinion. Trinidad Chambliss would be my offensive player of the year. Now I know Fernando won the Heisman and he was spectacular, but you kind of saw it at the last 2 games, right? Like what Fernando was doing versus Miami, whereas Trinidad was literally putting the team on his back, going against a really, really good Miami defense. And he was doing it all of himself. And I think not to discredit anything from Fernando Mendoza, but Trinidad Chambliss, I thought, was probably the best quarterback in college football at the end of the year.
That's who I
100%.
had.
It's a fair pick. The impact he made. That's how you had JP too.
Yep.
2 bids
pick.
on Trinidad Chambliss. Reese, you got anything for us?
I went with the Blitnikoff Award winner. I went with Micaiah Lemon. I just think out west in USC with Maeva, I just thought with that offense, defensively was an issue for them, but like offensively, they went and did their part, game in and game out. Like there's a reason why this guy was so successful is because he's an issue. Like you always got to worry about where he's at on the field. So I went with your Blitnikoff winner.
Fair enough. I'll throw it a different way. Again, this is definitely a homer pick, but a guy that kind of got those postseason awards, but Emmett Johnson on Nebraska, the impact he made on that offense, like as much of a letdown as the season was as a whole, like he was the bright spot. Big Ten running back of the year, 250 carries, over 1,400 yards again, 15 total touchdowns. He made a massive impact. Like there's a lot less scoring if Emmett Johnson isn't on that Husker offense. So that'll be my bid.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the defensive side of things. Let's talk G5 football once again. Let's talk who stuck out on the defense side of the ball for one of these G5 teams. This one, you might have to pull some names here because there are some players that went under the radar that had massive seasons for teams that maybe weren't even in the college football playoff. But who do you have down, JP?
Jakari Foster, DB at Louisiana Tech. More than just, I think he had 5 PDUs was his number. It's going to be more than that. He got 8 interceptions on the year and forced fumble. This is a Tech team that Sonny Cumbie got back bowling, and this is a big reason why they were pretty good, darn good defensively, and had an absolute ball hawk on the back end. So I said Jakari Foster.
Jake?
I've mentioned this guy's name a few times on the show. Nadami Tucker for Western Michigan defensive end. I said it a few times. I thought Western Michigan probably had one of the best defenses in the group of 5. And they went out on a high note in the bowl game against Kennesaw and just absolutely wreaked havoc. I know the overall defensive line on Western Michigan was really good, but Tucker was an absolute stud. And another cool story, kind of similar to Cam Cook. Didn't really see much of the field, wasn't that big of an impact player at Houston the year prior. He steps in, and now from some draft boards, I think he's a top 3 or 4 round pick at this point. So it's cool to see those stories of guys who go to the G5 and just absolutely crush it.
Reese?
We mentioned his dad as being a potential coach here, but I went with Jackson Eck over at New Mexico. Linebacker had 128 total tackles, 65 solo tackles. I mean, this defense was a big reason why this team was so successful. They only gave up 22 points a game, 40% on third downs. And I mean, you're also giving up less than 250 yards a game, like defensively. So like those are recipes for success. So like I went with the linebacker out west that probably not a lot of people know. And like, again, we forget, but like New Mexico had a chance to win 10 football games this year, which there is kind of crazy.
And they were fun to watch too. They had that entire city bought in. It was what a story that team was. It kind of went under the radar. For me, I went a different team in UConn. Brian Parham. I think it's Parham or Parham. I don't know which way he pronounces it, but what a year he had. I mean, 10.5 sacks, 128 total tackles, forced 3 fumbles, dominant all year on the D-line for UConn. So I think he'll make a massive impact. He was in the portal and he landed at a Power 4 school, but definitely a guy that stuck out within G5 play or independent play, I guess if you want to call it that. But all right, let's go to the Power 4. Who has the defensive player of the year for you? Is there a unanimous pick here as well, or do you have somebody that maybe we didn't?
I don't have
Rodriguez, folks.
I don't have another pick. Somebody else.
Okay, go ahead, JP.
No, he's shaking his head.
Mesidor.
Oh, you are okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You go 2.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 63 tackles, playing on a defensive end spot. Pretty big deal, man. Played opposite of one of the best in the country, and himself was one of the best in the country. I understand the Jacob Rodriguez thing. Guy didn't have near the numbers in the sacks. This guy had pretty close to the tackle range. And it's just what Rodriguez was to that Tech defense I think is less than what Mesidor and Bain were to this Miami defense. That's not taking anything away. But that Tech defense was pretty darn good up front, whether Rodriguez was behind him or not. And so that's kind of why I went the direction I did.
Reese,
Also,
do you have a different one?
Miami doesn't get near a national title game without this pass rush between those two.
No, my honorable mention was JP's other guy on that line. Is I had Bain. Is like the stats aren't there and everything, but like you just saw when these two guys play together, like the tenacity and just aggressiveness and like teams you have Mesner on the one side and you have Bain on the other side. It's like which side do you want to try to run the ball to? I don't know. Do we drop back and pass it here? I don't know. They're going to get to them. Like they're just guys that they disrupt the flow of the game and whatever you want to do. And they just punched him in the mouth. I mean, that Louisville game got to be bad just because of Carson Beck having 4 interceptions. Like this defense, like I mentioned before, this defense only gave up 20 points to the national championship winning team. So like this defense was nuts.
Yeah, and I think also one thing that we can all relate to now is if you play a team like Miami in college football 26, where they have 2 stars under both edges, good luck. Like, which side are you running to? That's why they made the impact they did. But just so we can get this out there in the public, because some people maybe not have known this, but Jacob Rodriguez, as Jake and I's choice, 128 tackles on the season, 7 forced fumbles, a sack. Pretty unbelievable season.
The way D'Angelo Pons played at the end of the
he could be
year,
up there.
was, I mean, I texted my dad last night. I was like, the Colts need to draft this dude. I love the way that kid plays.
Keep him in Indy.
A little claim to fame, I guess, a little shot at myself, as well as if you go back to the 2024 version of Nebraska-Indiana preview where they drubbed us in Bloomington, I talked about being a matchup I liked with Isaiah Nair, who's 6'7", and Pons, who's 5'10", like throwing at Pons often. His aunt was in
Target
our
him.
comments. No, his aunt was in our comments. Like, just having him.
Did you see, you guys mentioned the Michael Irvin no belt to ass thing? Did you see his dad made a Twitter video of him doing it to a trash can last night?
I did see that.
That's good stuff.
The shirt he had on was sick too. So shout out D'Angelo Pons. He's honestly, since that moment I brought that up.
The show.
He's absolutely dominated college football. And for what he does for his size, he absolutely lit that tight end last night, by the way. That was the hit of the game. Clean hit too, which of course they had to recover.
Did you see the other play where I think it's Hall, the 6'7" tackle for Miami, got him out on a screen though, and he was just like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And he just ran through him.
It's tough. That's tough. That's for the size matchup. Hey, but he got right back up. He made his plays, and they don't throw at him very often. That's a sign of good DB is if you're not calling their name very often. But all right, that is the Defensive Player of the Year in the Power Forward. Let's go to our favorite moment of 2025 to close tonight's show. We'll cover the portal. We'll recap it on our next episode. Gives us a little bit more prep. Gives us these national championship guys a landing spot.
Yeah, some guys didn't do their prep.
2025. Let's just talk our favorite moment of 2025 to close tonight's show. Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was from the 2025 college football season. It could be a game, could be a single play. What stuck out to you, JP?
I had 3.
Okay.
Does everybody have multiple?
You get
I just
one.
kind of feel like there's a lot of options. I know. I'm just saying,
there's
a lot of.
I have a few. I have a few.
Okay. I'm going to start at the top here with Virginia Field storm against Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
That's college
Squirrel
football.
White just
What a great game.
disappeared.
Could have been in game of the year, by the way.
Yeah, like it was one of those things where you're not supposed to be able to get on the field that fast. It's not supposed to look like an absolute tidal wave. And it looked awesome on TV. So that exact moment right there was awesome. Unreal, right? You were like, oh, Virginia, like they got theirs, right? And then you realize Florida State was as good as them. And then Virginia was, right?
A lot better than sitting on that hill. It was just so unbelievable.
That's just it. If you were a Virginia fan, if you could get a canvas of somebody taking a photo right down that end zone line, but just a wave of students and all these people rushing on the field, that would be.
Don't worry, they'll bowl that end zone in, and they'll put bleachers there soon enough, just like everybody
They're not
else.
planning to do that, are they?
I just like Missouri's done it. Like everybody does it. They'll bowl it in and get rid of the hills.
Don't ruin the moment here, Jake.
I'm sorry.
Mine's a little bit in favor of the media and less not in favor of the coaches, I should say. But I think the whole situation and what brought this up was after Ole Miss lost in the college football playoff, I was flipping through different YouTube channels that cover Ole Miss, and I stumbled upon the hoe guy. And if you don't know who the hoe guy is, it's the guy who referenced Lane Kiffin as a hoe. You can't make a housewife out of a hoe, and got approached by Lane Kiffin after a game saying, don't say that stuff about me. And then he did exactly what he got called a hoe for. That's my favorite moment, I think, of the season is Lane Kiffin doing that. Like the video of like, good coaches finally holding these media people responsible for what they say. And then the media guy proves himself to be right because, I mean, that's just what was happening. Like, as much as you don't like being called, that's exactly what you did. So one of my favorite moments of the year was social media's reaction from this guy doing it and then end up being right. And then seeing all these active Ole Miss fans who are actively pissed that they lost also be like, thank you so much for calling Lane Kiffin a hoe. That's what the sport's about.
Buddy,
the coverage you get.
He froze up right there in that moment.
He did. He did.
He just,
I mean,
nothing.
Well,
I mean,
brother.
I think he was that. Like, what do you do though? He's just like,
yeah.
He just said, "Yep."
Be like,
Double down, just
I'll be a hoe,
Lane, you're a hoe, dude. Like, what do you want me to do? Lane, you're a hoe.
He
It's your own
said,
fault.
he said on
in the
X
mirror, brother.
afterwards, he goes, "What am I supposed to do? Hit Lane Kiffin in the face?" Like,
Yeah.
You can't hit him, but you
So-
can at least say something back, not just look at your phone.
And then him in the press conference after, and Lane's like, "I'm not taking questions for you." He's like, "Lane, I didn't call you a hoe." And you can just hear him, like, they don't even put the mic up to his face. That's the beauty of the sport and covering it. So one of my favorite moments. Reese.
Just to kind of dial off of that one, Parks. I think Ole Miss, like making a run with everything they had going against them, I think was impressive. I mean, you
A lot of people wrote them off.
play extremely well against Miami as well too. Like, yeah, I had him in there. I was like, oh, but I think we even talked about like, oh, that Ole Miss Georgia game was going to be kind of the snooze fest of all of them. I think ended up being one of the best games. Like Ole Miss making that run, everybody's kind of forgetting about them. Ole Miss is all that stuff going on. Like I said, they got forgotten about. They make that run with the D2 kid. They go do all these things. Like I just think the Ole Miss storyline is pretty impressive.
Also, AKC just popped up in the chat. Not sure how late you joined the show, but a lot of Cam Cook bids for G5 Offensive Player of the Year looking back at 2025 college football. So we did talk Jack State. And thanks for joining the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you haven't, just to end the night show. Got a couple more choices out there. Jake, what's your favorite moment?
I don't know if I necessarily did this one right, but we've touched on it a few times. It's just that week 5 in general. Like, let me, if I can I go down the list of what happened that week? JP mentioned it. Week 5 started off. We got Virginia, Florida State that night, and all the madness that just kicked off our Friday night of awesome college football. Then to follow that up, if you guys remember, you mentioned Arizona State, Mississippi State was great. I thought Arizona State TCU was a great game too. Arizona State got down 21-0. And I think they came back and won 27-24. You had Georgia, Alabama, USC.
The Deadwood trip, correct?
No, this was before.
I thought that was Arizona State TCU. I didn't think
I got an honorable mention for Deadwood though. Don't worry.
Okay, I'll let you tell. I'll let you.
I got an honorable mention around the TCU Arizona State game.
We'll keep going quick. Indiana, Iowa, USC, Illinois, Oregon, Penn State. You touched on Parks. LSU, Ole Miss was great. Tennessee, Mississippi State went to overtime. Georgia Tech, Wake was a 2-point game. BYU, Colorado was your nightcap, and A&M, Auburn. All of those games, what they have in common, 11 top 25 games that week were all one-score results. This was all in 1 week 5. And then
I just don't like college football. There's too many blowouts. That was me being a dumbass NFL fan for all you podcasts.
Yeah, it's just that nightcap. Like you said, those awesome Friday games, and then Georgia, Alabama, I remember was going on at the same time as Oregon, Penn State. It just, that was an awesome week looking back at it.
Was good ones.
Reese, what's your Deadwood moment for podcast listeners or first-time listeners of the show? This was JP's bachelor party.
Don't
I believe
put me
it
on blast,
went
Reese.
week 4, correct, JP? The week before that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, week 4, because it was Nebraska, Michigan. What's your moment, Reese?
I mean, do we remember the Italian Stallion going into Death Valley and just dismantling the boys as a 17.5-point dog?
Italian Stallion. Before he blew out his knee.
We don't talk about that. We forget about that part. And then,
I don't think you can forget it.
I was like in the third quarter. Like I was literally taking I think I was taking a shower, and I came out, and you guys were like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, what? Like I just came out, and you're like, just watch the game. I'm like, turn on. I'm like, wait, why isn't Steve playing? Why isn't Steve playing? Guys, why isn't Steve playing? And then they show it like 10 seconds later, and it's just, it snapped, didn't it?
He's in an air cast on a helicopter. That's what we tried to avoid.
I thought you were going to say, Reese, that night we were at the sports book and we're live betting Arizona State, Baylor, and out of Deadwood, South Dakota, across the sports book is two lone Baylor fans, and me and Reese are just doing every first down celebration for Arizona State, and they win on a walk-off field goal.
Or when we all took Oklahoma State
live. Against Tulsa, and they lost. Like, here they come. Come on, folks. And here's these 5 jackasses cheering for Oklahoma State in a sports book in South Dakota against Tulsa, and we didn't even win.
First time Tulsa won there in like, I don't know, 2 decades, 3 decades.
That's honorable mention here. New Mexico beating San Diego State. We've mentioned Lobos a couple of times here, but that moment, right? That was really cool. And then being told that we need a new Big 12 guy because we picked Arizona State to beat TCU.
Good pull. Good
I
pull,
mean,
JP.
that
Thank you.
video did really well, and we got shredded on Wednesday, Thursday night when we put that YouTube video up because we were that stupid to pick Arizona State to win that game, and they won that game, and it was like, it was rejoice because we've been wrong.
I didn't hear anything back
Never
from
been
those guys.
ripped.
I don't know what
We've
happened.
I
never
love
been
when they
ripped
come
that
back
bad.
when they are right and they come back and like the hindsight's 2020. They never come back if they comment something wrong. But
No.
that's the beauty of being a listener. And we appreciate you listening, no matter whether or not you're calling us an idiot and telling us you're a new guy. So get us a like, get us a subscribe on the channel. We got a ton of content coming off this offseason. Fan perspectives, talking through Iowa State's new roster. JP dropped a video. Check it out on Iowa. If the year was a failure or success in terms of the fan base, and he dived deep into that. I'll have more stuff coming out for Nebraska as things come out. Transfer
Big
portal's
time
closed.
with,
We'll cover that next episode.
With
Go
the
ahead.
schedule coming out, we definitely got content
Yes.
for next week.
Yes, there's still more college football to come. We'll get the countdown clock to week 0 going. It's college football all year round here. So we appreciate you more than you know. It's been a hell of a season, a hell of a run. We couldn't have done it without you. So make sure you pat yourself on the back. We love you. We'll see you next week. Jake, take her away.
Season might have ended yesterday, but we'll be back tomorrow. Let's play it.